I'm Nadine Thornhill, sexuality educator. If I get this video posted on time, it is Tuesday, June 4th, which means that tomorrow, The Handmaid's Tale Season 3 is premiering on Hulu.
Blessed be the fruit. May the force be with you.
In my opinion, it is one of the best shows I have ever watched, particularly from a production standpoint, but also from an acting standpoint. I don't think that there is a weak performer in this show, and I'm talking about the principal cast, the supporting cast, but also like day players who will just show up and have, you know, one line or two lines are just killing it.
Peace be with you.
Before I was a sex educator, I was an actor. I began acting when I was a little kid, and I continued doing that up until my early 30s. Basically, I sort of accidentally transitioned from theater and being an actor and a playwright to being a sex educator. How that happened is a long story, which I may tell in another video. When I watch the performances on The Handmaid's Tale, part of me is almost inspired to take it up again. Like I kind of get that pang and I'm like, oh, I miss doing this and immersing myself in different characters. And then a whole other part of me is like, okay, you know what? I made the right decision because what these people are doing, that's acting. I can't do that. On my best day as an actor, couldn't do that. So I'm just gonna sit back and watch these masters do their thing. The story that the writers and the editors craft together is just amazing and compelling. There's, you know, the sound design, the score, the soundtrack, just like all of it. All of it's working, the costumes. It's one of the best shows that I've ever watched. It's one of my faves. Season 3 is starting and I'm gonna be recapping and reviewing it for y'all. So I am going to try and put out a recap the night before the new episode airs, so every Tuesday, but I have my actual job and my family, so I may fall off from time to time, but I'm gonna do my best.
He loves us for our labors.
I'm gonna share some of the thoughts I had about the first two seasons. I'm not gonna recap them because I assume if you're watching a Handmaid's Tale Season 3 video, you watch the first two seasons and you know what happens. Of the two seasons, I thought that Season 1 had the more cohesive narrative arc, which makes sense because from my understanding, they were using the book sort of as the template of the plot. I thought the writers and the editors were really efficient and really effective in their storytelling. They captured, you know, just the casual brutality of Gilead so well, and there was just this, you know, atmosphere of mistrust and fear and loneliness that permeated the scenes when we were in sort of present day Gilead. I think they use flashbacks really well in this show, particularly in the first season. In one way, when we're looking at June's earlier life, it gives us a bit of reprieve from just the relentless awfulness that is Gilead. We're seeing her, you know, with her family, we're seeing her fall in love, we're seeing her become a mom, we're seeing her hang out with her BFF, Moira. I also really appreciate that the season 1 flashbacks, they don't draw this direct line from, you know, here is the US and the world as we know it today. This is how we got to the Gilead that we know. The flashbacks sort of give us just enough dots that we can connect them. And so, you know, in the flashbacks, Luke and June and Moira are living in, you know, relatively blissful unawareness, but we as the audience can see those hints and those signs of what's to come. And so it does give those flashback scenes, as much as they are in one way a reprieve, there's also just this sense of encroaching dread that it's so effective. P.S. I know this is not a series that you would spin off. Nonetheless, if the producers decided to create a Moira spinoff, I would not be mad at it, because Moira is a fucking queen. Also, Samira Wiley is one of my faves and needs to be on as much TV as possible.
Smart lady.
If you say to me, Nadine, Season 1 was better than Season 2, I would not disagree with you. However, season 2 is the season that I like better. I don't think that the narrative arc of season 2 is quite as strong or as smooth as season 1, particularly in the last couple of episodes. I don't think they quite stick the landing, but it also makes sense because the writers of the show are no longer using the novel as a template. They're creating their own stories. I do like that in season 2 we pull back and we get a slightly broader perspective on Gilead, both in terms of geography. Like in season 2 we get to see the colonies and other parts of Gilead that we haven't seen. We find out, like the capital of what is left of the United States is now Anchorage, Alaska, things like that. I find that really interesting. If I just look at the episodes individually, most of my favorite episodes are in season 2. Oh, Albus Dumblecat has thoughts on season 2 as well. I've watched Sorry, I'm trying to be serious about this scene and I can't with this butt behind me. As we're moving into season 3, let's talk about that season 2 finale a little bit. A lot of people were pissed that June did not leave Gilead. The first time I watched the finale, I was pissed. I was like, girl, what are you doing? I've since come around on the finale for a couple of reasons. It doesn't really make sense for the writers to pull June out of Gilead until closer to the end of the series. If June leaves Gilead, then we have to sort of let go of all the characters who are based in Gilead. So we lose Serena Joy, we lose Fred, we lose Rita, we lose Nick, we lose Janine and Elma and all the other handmaids. And they're really important supporting characters, so she can't just leave them behind. And the reason that that hasn't been the case with Luke and Moira is because Luke and Moira are part of June's past and they represent what she is trying to get back to. We can have them as characters both in her flashbacks and in her present day, but presumably when she leaves Gilead, like Gilead is behind her. I mean, it will always exist in her psyche because holy shit trauma, but yeah, we're not going to keep up with those characters if June is not interacting with them. And I personally, even though I really hate some of those characters as characters, I don't want to actually lose them because for me they're integral to the story. I can also accept the choice from a character perspective for a couple of reasons. First, I just want to say as a qualifier, I don't think if Emily hadn't been in the van, June would have stayed. I think she trusts Emily with her baby, even though I'm not sure how Emily is going to feed this baby while they're in transit. I can imagine, especially after she just saw Eden executed for the sin of pursuing a loving connection with another human being, which is a thing that human beings just do. June is especially terrified for Hannah. Gilead's standards of righteousness and morality, they are impossible to live up to, especially for women. And when you violate those rules and those standards, it is often lethal. Also in the finale, like moments before she flees, June specifically says to Serena,
she cannot grow up here. She cannot grow up in this place.
It makes complete sense that if June is adamant that her one daughter can't grow up in Gilead, that she will feel the same way about the other daughter growing up in Gilead. Now, I've read and heard a lot of commentary from folks who were like, well, she should have just gone anyway. She should have gone to Canada, like gotten herself together, gotten a group of people, gotten resources, gone back and saved Hannah from Canada, that she can do more from Canada than she can within Gilead. From June's perspective, she knows that Luke has been in Canada for years at this point. She knows that Moira, who, is her other ride or die, has been in Canada at least for several months. Neither of them have been able to get to her or Hannah. As far as I know, I don't think either of them has even been able to get her any correspondence except for when Luke sent a verbal message through Nick to June. And I think she also knows that no one from Canada has really shown up to, rescue their loved ones and whisk them out of Gilead. She had an encounter with a high-ranking government official from another country, from Mexico, and she laid it out for that woman and was like, this is all the bullshit that we are being put through on a daily basis. And that woman looked her in the face and was like, can't do anything, sorry. June doesn't have any reason to assume that if she got to Canada, she would somehow be able to get back into Gilead, get Hannah, and then get out again. Finally, I think we have to give June a little bit of a break because that Martha rescue came out of nowhere. Like, she hasn't had time to like formulate this whole plan and make all of these decisions. Yeah, because it just happened suddenly. Also, girlfriend has been through like years and years of brutal trauma, so her tactical skills may not be entirely on point. The thing that did piss me off about that episode and that I don't understand, and I will never understand, is how June wrote the Nolite te bastardes carburodurum on the wall of her room while she was in the middle of escaping. Like, what? Where did you even get a sharp thing to write on the wall? And like, etching on a wall takes a long fucking time.
I don't know. You don't know.
I am reserving judgment on the finale until I see how they continue with her decision in season 3. I will admit, I am not sure how we're going to get out of this situation without June, Rita, and Nick being summarily executed. I know Fred is not super smart, but he's not an idiot. Nick has pretty much threatened to shoot him if he tries to go after June and the baby. He knows June took the baby, and he seemed to strongly suspect that Rita was somehow involved, and that would be all he would need to go in front of the council or whatever and be like fucking hang these 3 motherfuckers. They're gonna have to do some work to convincingly get all 3 of those characters through this alive. If they successfully do that, I still fully expect that Rita is just gonna punch June in the face. Understand June's motives. I think they make sense. Doesn't mean I also wouldn't understand if Rita was super pissed and was like, look, I risked everything to get your ass out of Gilead and you're back here voluntarily? Boom! Would not blame her at all. Anyway, we're gonna see how it all plays out. I'm not gonna make any specific predictions because I try to predict what's gonna happen in this show and I am wrong every single time. I am not good at predictions, but you might be. So if you have some predictions for season 3, or you have thoughts about season 3, a wish list for season 3, or like thoughts on the last 2 seasons, I would love to read them and chat with you about the show. So leave them down in the comments below. That's all for now. I hope you have a great day, and I will see you soon for episode 1 and 2, I think. Episodes 1 and 2. Yay! Bye.